In the early 1950s, a decision was made at IBM to enter the computer business. As with many other things, IBM didn't invent the electronic data processing system, but IBM kind of put a lot of money behind it. And so by the early 1950s, IBM had released two machines, the 701 and the 702. The 701 was a scientific machine, and the 702 was a commercial machine. In those days, computing wasn't quite as defined as it is today, and so therefore some machines used different sizes of what we would now call a byte. The byte, the 8-bit byte, in fact, only came into existence with the IBM System 360 in 1964. So there was a lot of variety amongst machines. And IBM, in common with other computer manufacturers, always had a scientific version and a more commercial version. These were followed up by the 704 and the 705. The 704 being the scientific machine and the 705 being the commercial one. The 705, of which we have an example of a 705 console here, was a valve machine. And this is a section of valve logic out of a 705 computer. This particular machine is the console of a 705 computer bought by the Royal Army Pay Corps in 1958. It is thought this might be the second computer that IBM United Kingdom sold. As you can see, driving a computer was quite a complex operation back in those days, and the computer would talk to one via this typewriter. This is essentially an electromatic typewriter that has got various magnets and clutches in so that the computer can talk to it. This keyboard wouldn't have been used by the operator. There was usually a piece that's missing across the top here. The operator would talk to the computer by using this keyboard. Input and output to the computer would be via magnetic tape and sometimes magnetic card. Sometimes the data would be put onto card and then transcribed to tape and then put onto the computer. So over here we have an example of an IBM 727 magnetic tape unit. This particular computer had quite a few of these to deal with its insatiable appetite in those days for data. And you can see that this is using the IBM vacuum system. That is to say, we can throw the tape across the heads are under here, we can throw the tape across the heads very, very quickly because we are using a servo mechanism consisting of a vacuum and two very powerful motors to drive the two spools. Here we have a model of the actual system that was installed at the Royal Army Pay Corps, and this little block here is actually the console that we saw earlier. This is the central processing unit. As you can see, these were room-sized devices, and these are the tape drives, the 727 being an example of one, and there is a card reader, and there's probably a punch here. There would have also been printers, presumably in another room. It was quite unusual for a government department, a UK government department, to buy a computer other than one from International Computers and Tabulators, which later became ICL, which later became Fujitsu UK. And it was probably quite a battle to buy the 705. But having bought IBM, the Royal Army Pay Corps was very, very happy with IBM and continued to buy IBM computers. So it replaced the 705 with a System 360, as one would expect, and some of the research I've done suggests there might have been a 1400 in there, a 1401 between the two, but I haven't got that far yet. So the 360 itself was replaced by a 370, And this is a pair of disk drives that were attached to the 360 that was running the Royal Army Pay Corps pay system. All of this equipment in this room is kindly been lent to us by the Adjutant General's Corps Museum, Peninsula Barracks, Winchester. They are the successor corps to the Royal Army Pay Corps. Over here we have two of the devices that were used to input data to early computers. We've got an IBM 024 Punch and an IBM 056 Verifier. The way that they work is that data is inputted by using this keyboard and punched onto punch cards. The same deck of cards that's just been punched is now taken from this machine and loaded into this machine. The same data is now punched again. If there is a difference between the two cards that are being the card that's being punched and the data that's being punched in, this will be flagged up as an error. The whole idea of this is if you punch it twice, you are helping to avoid the old garbage in, garbage out.